Caution, this game contains scenes of violence and gore, as well as depictions of criminal acts. These acts are strictly punished by law. Please do not attempt to imitate them. This game also contains themes of sexual violence and self-harm. This game is a work of fiction. Any relationship to real persons, groups, places, or crimes is coincidental. That it is currently September. It is currently 2:25 in the morning on September 11th, 2025. Now, noting that it's September 11th in the early hours of the day, knowing what we know now about the events of September 10th, I would like to say a couple of words. I'm not new to this, nigga. I'm true to this. Smoke on that op pack. You should know this. Neck shot, headshot, it don't matter. The only thing that I want to see is some blood splatter. Fascism has always been fought with violence. Right now, the bigger person will not be triumph. That didn't rhyme at all, but I don't really give a shit. Because, nigga, through the jugular, you got hit. Thank you, and good night. Goodbye to you. I feel bad for your daughter. Really do. I know, I'm a star poet. Maybe I should go be one of those rappers in the hood. Vaughn was staring closely at a file as he sat in Frisia's meeting room, or rather the small space in their office surrounded by shelves that served as one. When your goat Loki is making an appearance, Yua was sitting across from him, looking timid and scared. Every once in a while, she'd glare across from him. She looked like a kid showing her parent her report card. Vaughn was reading the report she'd compiled on Takumi Nishijo and the Nugent cases. He'd even had the chat log between Takumi and Shogun from the day before the crucified incident. Yua's conclusion was that Takumi was behind the Nugent killings. Amazing! You looked all this up yourself? Yes, I guess. Yua looked down at her fee as Momose gave her the compliment. She seemed to be staring directly at the Gero Froggy straps on her bag. She was talking to a police detective and the head of a private detective agency. They were professionals at this kind of thing. From their perspective, anything she tried to do on her own would probably look like a child pretending to be a detective. Both Bond and Momose were impressed at the quality of her work report. Holy hell, it's already fucking 3 minutes in, I can't read. This is pretty interesting stuff. I can tell you did your homework. The part about Takumi Nishijo and having multiple personalities is especially intriguing. Nishijo Takumi has multiple personalities. The murders are occurring while the original personality sleeps and another takes over. Yeah, this is fascinating stuff. But I think it's a little too far out there. You don't think that Nishijo is the killer? Can I tell you the truth? Yua's face tensed up for a second and then she nodded. The way the task force sees it, Takumi Nishijo isn't a suspect at all. Huh? Really? Well, hey, at least his ass is in the clear. It wasn't just Yua. Momose was surprised too. Bond chuckled a little. He leaned back into his chair and put his hands behind his head. At least in terms of the crucified case, Nishijo is innocent. We were able to recover fingerprints from the stakes used to pin the body to the wall. We got Nishijo from fingerprints from him and tried matching them. They weren't even fucking close. As Remy did it. But... Yua began to turn pale, her lips shaking. Understandably, she found the stake in his room. She's gotta understand that Wall Shogun is probably inside of him, and she's really, really smart for figuring that shit out, because most people think that this is a normal world, and not a lot of people think about the in terms of D swords and bioelectric engineering and geometric nigga balls penis. Figuring that shit out while being a normal person, pretty smart, unless she has a D sword and then she's not a normal person. But I don't think she has it quite yet. As the theory she believed in so much collapsed right in front of her face, the first thing she felt was guilt about all the things she said to talk to me. You shouldn't. You handled this with great maturity. You wanted to violently assault him, to kill this nigga. But in the end, you chose to want to help him, to be the bigger person. And considering that he is just one nigga who could have been a serial killer, but isn't fully in control of it because you believe that he had multiple personalities, that's really big to do. You could have just wanted to snuff out the whole to get could have wanted to snuff out the whole to get rid of the half. But instead you genuinely wanted him to get better, to go to the hospital, so nobody had to die. So you didn't have to be like him. Thanks to those prints, we've got our suspect nailed down. We haven't told the media yet, though. By the way, it was actually Sua who figured that out. Sua's out there working hard, and you're here slacking off, huh? Actually, they kicked me off the Nugent task force. What? They found out I was looking up GE rate stuff instead of doing my work. From Bond's perspective, there's actually no need for Sua to call him and tell him about the 7th murder. He'd wanted to tell his junior partner that, but missed his chance. I had dead skin under my finger and I was trying to dig it out with my mouth. But there is deodorant on it. That's nasty. I guess it's my fault for telling you about the GE rate in the first place. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The GE rate thing is something I took a personal interest in. She's not holding up too well. Anyway, we're still looking into the possibility that he might be involved in other cases besides Crucified. He might actually be right there. So the police are thinking Nugent isn't actually the work of one person? We can't say yet. But we just had our 7th case, and what was Takumi doing while those niggas got arrested? Jerking off with women like he always is. Personally, I think there are multiple people behind this. Oops, I've said too much. If they find out I've said any of this, I'll lose my job. Keep that shit off the record, nigga. He smiled mischievously and put his finger to his lips. So on to the point. Huh? Yua was surprised that she'd been here. She was sure she'd been here to talk about Takumi. I wanted to ask you about your school. I asked about Rimi. You know a girl named Sena Aoi? She should be in your grade. Yua thought a little, then shook her head apologetically. I mean, I'm surprised. But I'm not. Because people didn't know who Ayase was. And it should be like super duper fucking obvious to anybody, anywhere, that she was Fess, right? I think I've heard the name, but I've never spoken to her. Oh, I see. Is she the killer? No, this is totally a different case. I was up all last night because I was looking into her. So all that stuff you're saying about looking at high school girls, because I like them, that's why. You ever heard any stories about a girl at your school who's, say, really good with magic tricks? No, never. I'm not following this at all. What are you talking about? For instance, maybe a magic trick where she makes a sword appear out of nowhere. Yes, she has one, I knew it! Yua's face jolted upwards. Her expression was filled with shock. How did you know? Bond seemed a little surprised, despite being the one who asked the question. You know something? Yua hesitated before giving him a firm nod. Where did you see it? In a tunnel near the station. Nishijo and Ki... That makes sense. That does make sense. I mean, it's not like her to just fucking... That still means that she's a gigalomaniac because she saw it in person. Even if she doesn't have one. Which she might. She probably does. I mean, let's be real. She's in high school and important to the plot. She has a fucking D-sword. She's one of the 7 that Ayase was talking about. But it does, I never really thought about it. I thought Takumi really did outrun her and left her. That everything going on with the police at the time and her caused her to not be there. But learning that she was not working with the police, it's starting to seem, it makes sense. I didn't think about it, but it does make sense that she wouldn't be that easily outran by that bum ass nigga who sits in his room all day. You mean Fess, right? And you had gave him a brief description of how she chased after Taka. That was only 2 weeks ago. How she'd gone to the manga cafe to talk to him. How she'd been a little too forceful in talking to him, and he'd run away. How she'd chased him all through Shibuya. How he'd eventually lost her. When she was about to give up, she'd seen him. So he did outrun her. Oh my god. So I hid on the top of the stairs and watched them. The 2 of them were at the bottom of the stairs talking about something. Oh, I couldn't hear what they were talking about. But suddenly, Kishimoto made a sword appear out of nowhere. It was really big, too big to fit inside a bag. No way! The same thing I saw. Which, I don't know if it's because it was on the TV recording, or if he's a gigalomaniac. Knowing what we know about the rules of it now, it seems like he might be one and just, be a little too old to dip his finger into the plot importance. Kind of like how Sojiro and Sae know about cognitive science, but don't interact with it because they're too old. They're not adults. They're adults. They're not teenagers with the personas and the knowing that Morgana can talk and shit. But anyways, knowing what Senna has described about the rules of it makes it seem like it is because he has the power. He's just not gonna get it because he's, a fucking adult. And it would take, and it's not a Zenkichi situation. He's too far removed from these kids to get this power, and it worked for the story. It would bust up too much shit. But it still does feel like he is a gigalomaniac. Because the whole thing that she said about affirming delusions, errors and shit. Now, it could be because she made the real link. Now, she did make a link with the nigga who had the porter. So that might be why the camera was able to detect it. But it shouldn't really work like that. It should only work on people. Whatever, we'll figure out later. Huh? When I saw it, it wasn't Kishimoto, though. It was the girl I just mentioned, Aoi Senna. We've been getting testimony about her swinging a sword around all over Shibuya, you see. I wonder if it's just a magic trick the kids are into these days. But what I saw didn't look like a magic trick at all. And did you see something else? I didn't tell anybody about this because I wasn't sure that anybody would believe me. But I didn't just see her make a sword appear. Two of her! One in her underwear, because Takumi can make errors without trying. And that's an issue. Yua paused for a moment to wet her dry lips. She didn't seem sure whether or not she should speak. Her gaze was wandering about the room, looking at anywhere but the people in front of her. But eventually, she seemed to make up her mind and looked straight at Momose. She split in two. It was like there was really two of her there. I couldn't understand what was going on at all. There was a heavy silence in the meeting room. None of the three of them seemed to have any idea what to say. Okay, so we don't know how they're doing it, but it looks like there are several people in Shibuya who can do these magic tricks, as we'll call them. And Nintendo Switch Direct today. You know, Charlie Kirk took all the fucking, like, attention off of it. It's so desperate for attention, he put a hole in his neck like a smoker in a PSA. But he, like, I forgot that the Direct was coming. Charlie Kirk died the same day Mega Malamar was revealed, the day before the Nintendo Switch Direct, and right after Haru Urara, and the day before 9/11, and 2 days after the Queen, and on Jay Schlatt's birthday, and the same day that another school shooting happened. And the same day, a couple of people I saw on my Twitter feed were listening like Mommy ASMR, gooning to furry porn. And the day that I was... Well, I won't say that. We also know that Senaoi and I say Kishimoto have made contact with Takumi Nishijo. It's hard to believe that that's a coincidence. It's not. Stand users attract other stand users. Nishijo. It feels like there's something very strange going on around that kid. Bond remembered what he'd said during his phone call. It's just giant monsters and mages. The other two didn't hear his whisper. Momose had one of her employees bring them tea to break the oppressive silence. She took a sip inside, then she forced a smile and tried to change the subject. So, Yua, those little froggies on your back, are those big with you kids these days? Oh, yes. Yua let out a sigh of relief, glad to be off the subject. What are they called again? Ghetto froggy. There are a lot of different types, aren't there? 10 or so? Yes. I just got them from a friend. I don't really know much about them. When her friend ends up being Nanami. Why would something that was so made so lazily be so popular? He's got a point. He is. But don't be ridiculous. Momo-say. Momo-chan, I'm sorry I took my eyes off of you for 1 second. I'll never be that unfaithful ever again. It was a joke, okay? I actually don't know why they're popular myself. Oh, I think they're cute though. You're going to blind in your old age, Momo. The rest of Japan agrees with me though. You should go buy one for yourself. Where can you even get them? Oh, there are Gero Froggy stores everywhere. Gero Froggy stores? If you go there on Friday and stand in line, you can probably get one. Friday? Is there an echo in here? Echo. They always release new designs on Fridays. Girls who like them tend to, try to buy them all. Bond and Momose had begun to glance each other as the US spoke. Bond was stroking his chin. I thought she was having PTSD from a certain somebody taking her to go buy figurines. Something that shouldn't be popular suddenly becoming a huge hit. The GE rate goes up every weekend. Don't tell me, Bond. It's worth looking into. Is Garo Froggy actually a GE rate psyop? There's no fucking way. When I went to school on Thursday, I got an unexpected offer from Misumi to go visit Ayase in the hospital. I hadn't thought of that at all, and it caught me off guard. But for some reason, before I could answer, Rimi had said she wanted to go. I ended up going along with them. Just to be clear, it's not like I was some cold person who didn't care about her. Nigga, you don't have to specify that. You're the one who saved her life. But with the threat of Shogun looming, I didn't have it in me to worry about other people. I don't want to die. Misumi had gone in through the front door, but when he got to the lobby, he didn't seem sure what to do. What's wrong? I just realized that I don't even know what room she's in. He had come all this way without actually bothering to check. If so, what a fucking idiot. This is the outpatient wing. The inpatient rooms are next door. You, really? Dai-chin, get yourself together. 8H Tokyo General Hospital. This was the hospital I'd come to ever since I was little. I'd just been here a while ago, in fact, so I had a pretty good idea of the basic layout. Suddenly, I remembered what happened to Dr. Takashina, and let out a small moan I didn't want the others to hear. As Misumi headed for the inpatient rooms, I looked behind me. So, what do you think her room number is? I don't fucking know, nigga. Why are you asking? This was a general hospital. Any number of departments. With any number of departments in it, I would guess. Maybe surgery? Ah, that does not feel good, and that's not even all the way up. I will get flexible. Oh, but maybe the mental ward. When she'd fallen, she hadn't looked like she was that badly injured. And if she was in a bad enough shape to mentally try and jump off a building, it was entirely possible that they'd put her there. It happened to me after the incident at O-Front for some reason. Taku, you're pretty smart. Everybody knows this, right, Taku? Maybe not everyone. I wouldn't have known unless I'd been here so many times. Rimi stopped just before we got to the inpatient area. I'm going to go use the restroom. You guys go on ahead of me. Can I watch? She waved and headed back toward the outpatient wing. Misumi and I figured that we'd bother the other patients if we wandered around, so we decided to ask about Ayase at the nurse's station. Just like I thought, they gave us a number of a room in the psych ward. We're gonna see what her name is. Hanzuki. The room was small and simple in layout. There was a bathroom on the right side from the entrance, and a bed near the back. The evening sun was pouring in through the window on the far wall. There was no sign of Ayase herself. The bed was unmade, so she must have been here a little bit ago. Where'd she go?
さあ、
I don't know. The window was open. The wind was blowing into the room, making the white curtains billow. I wandered over to the window. I didn't go look at anything. I didn't go to close the window. It was just a sudden urge with no real reason behind it. I stood at the window and went up to look at the sky. Then I saw a shadow. Something fell down silently from above. For a second, my eyes met with its own. The shadow disappeared. I heard the loud sound of something smashing into something below.
なんだ
What the fuck? I collapsed where I stood. My body started to shake violently. I'd realized what it was I'd just seen. Ayase Kishimoto. She'd fallen from above and then hit the ground. If I looked out the window, I'd see her there covered in blood, brains splattered all over the pavement. Just before she died, our eyes had met. Yeah, and it was really funny because it was just the fucking CG of her in the hospital flipped upside down. I was the last person to see her, and I was the last person she saw while she was alive. Ah! An awful scream poured from my mouth as I put my hands to my head in terror. Yeah, she's too important to the plot.
見ろよタク
Look, Taku, there's a weird book here. I looked up in shock when Misumi said my name. I was standing in the corner of the room, nowhere near the window. I ran over to the window and looked out. Ayase was nowhere to be seen below me. Whew. It was just a delusion. I almost collapsed where I stood, but I managed to grab onto the windowsill. He'd taken the book off the shelf and was reading it.
ヌーだぜ
Check it out. It's a copy of New.
この雑誌
I didn't even know this thing was still running. New was a magazine that dealt with UFOs, aliens, psychic powers, religions, urban legends, strange phenomena, ancient super civilizations, and lost technology. Anything even tangentially related to the occult. It didn't surprise me in the least that a girl like Ayase fuck.
こっちの文庫本
And
は
this paperback here, The Apocalyptic Psalms of the Book of
グラ
Gladio.
ジオール
Looks like a
系
fantasy
黙示
novel.
録詩編
Gladio.
ファンタジー小説っぽいな
Never heard of this book, but I've heard the word Gladio somewhere before. Where was it again? I feel like I had heard it really recently.
岸
I
本
mean,
と付
if
き合
I'm
うと
gonna
なると
date Kishimoto, I'll have to
趣味
put
に
up
合わ
with
せないとい
hobbies
けねえの
too.
か
Uh,
大変そうだぜ
that'll be rough. Was he planning on dating Ayase somehow? Last time she shot him down hard. Then he called her a bitch for it, which like, no nigga. Go Charlie Kirk yourself.
は
Uh, Suddenly I realized Ayase's D-sword was leaning up against the wall. Its shape reminded me of a spaceship battleship you might see in a sci-fi movie. Every time I saw it, I was struck by how cool it looked. The way it combined beauty with cruelty. It wasn't glowing right now, just sitting there. But still, you could feel its heavy presence. Please tell me it's Wednesday today. Fucking bitch, it's Thursday already. Misumi showed no indication that he saw the sword. I guess normal people really couldn't see them. Maybe if I just took it without telling Ayase, it would be mine then, right? If I could get a D sword that easily, then all my problems would be solved, right? Gulped and reached out for the weapon with a trembling hand. I went to grab the blade. I thought I'd grabbed it, but my hand passed through it. It only grasped thin air. I tried again, but the same thing happened. I couldn't take it. I couldn't even touch it. Is this sword not real booted right now? Since there was no shared awareness of its existence, it was just a delusion of Ayase's. An illusion, a dream, an afterimage.
何やってんだ
What the hell are you fucking doing, dog? Misumi was looking at me confused. We waited another 10 minutes, but there was no sign of ISA. Remy, who had supposedly just gone to the bathroom, was nowhere to be seen either. Reg, she's taking a shit, dog. She's not really taking a
リミっ
shit.
て
Did
この
Remy
病室
know
の場
what
所
room
知っ
ISA
てた
was
の？
in?
あ、
Ah, fuck. We'd asked about the room at the nurse's station. Well, no, because Remy's smart enough to ask where the nurse's station, where she
あい
is.
つバカだからな。
Remy's pretty dumb. She
俺たち
might
み
not
たい
think
に
of asking
誰かに
somebody
聞
like,
こうって発想がないのかもしれ
oh,
ね
I
えぞ。
kill this nigga. She's smart enough to think it. She's not stupid, dog. She's not fucking Logan Andrew.
探しに。
Let's go look for her. I was nervous without her around. There was no way for her to know for sure if this hospital was safe. If Shogun was reading my mind, he'd know exactly where I was. Is Shogun in this hospital?
そうだな。
Yeah, I'm tired of waiting, and you're
で
probably
もあい
pretty
つがいな
lonely
いと
without
寂しい
her.
だろうからな。
うん
なあ、ぶっちゃ
Hey,
け、リミとはどうなんだ？
what's the deal with you and Remy? Huh?
付き合ってんのかっ
I'm
て聞いて
asking
ん
if
だ
she's your
よ。
girlfriend.
お
You
前
two are
ら、
spending an
最
awful
近
lot
結
of
構
time
いい
together,
感じ
right?
じゃね？
付き合って
We're
な
not
いよ。
dating. As I spoke, my face flushed. Me and Remy dating. I had some delusions about the idea, sure. I wasn't into real girls, but Remy was actually a pretty big part of my life now. But when Remy had offered to stay by my side, she'd also said this.
そんなの
Because
友
we're
達だから決まってるで
friends,
しょ
right? In other words, she saw me as a friend. She'd have no interest in dating a creepy otaku like me, obviously. And Remy didn't seem like the type who'd want to date anyway. Misumi and I decided to split up and look for her. Misumi checked the floor below, so I went to check the one above us. Ami, where are you, Ami? I passed by an elderly man in his 50s. He's clearly a patient here. I ignored him and kept walking. Walking around the hospital didn't really bother me as much as I thought it would. It's probably because I'd been here so many times. Still, the thought that Shogun might appear from behind every corner or open door made my heart race. There were those strange screams I sometimes heard too. They were bad for my heart. The walls and floors of the hallway were the same off-limit, off-white color. Some doors were open and some weren't. I peeked inside a few of them to see if Shogun was lurking there. Each room had 2 beds. I could see human-shaped forms beneath sheets. This must have been patients sleeping. But for some reason all of them were turned away from me and I couldn't see their faces. There weren't many people out in the hallway. There had been the old man calling for Ami and then a nurse. They'd been the only 2 I'd seen. I didn't want to stay here for too much longer. I wasn't sure why, but that's how it felt. The air felt heavy. It wasn't unpleasant, but it felt like I didn't belong here. As I kept going forward, I saw that the hallway turned to the right. Must be more rooms down there, I thought, as I nervously rounded the corner. I saw a wall right in front of me. Like the off-white of the other walls, this one was painted pure black. For some reason, my heart began to race faster and faster. I couldn't move. My vision began to swim. I thought I was just feeling dizzy and closed my eyes. When I put my fingers on my eyelids, I could feel my eyes twitching beneath them. The cold feeling like ice worked its way up my body from below. I stood there completely still, forgetting to breathe. I stared at the black in front of me. It felt like it was pulling me, drawing me in. An endless black that continued on for eternity. There was nothing there, but somebody was watching me. I could feel the gaze of God stabbing into my back. The was far, far worse than I had ever been at the base. Don't look at me. I used every scrap of mental power I had to force my eyes closed. Only then could I breathe. Panting, I stepped back. I lowered my head, turned around, and ran. I headed back to the floor ISA's room, was on as fast as I could, stopping to catch my breath only after I headed down the stairs. I touched my neck and found it was covered in a thick, sticky layer of sweat. It wasn't just my neck, my whole body was soaked. What the hell was that? Was it Shogun reading my mind? I could still sense the gaze of God. It was still hard to breathe. I was still cold. Felt exhausted. I wanted to go home. I wanted to have Remy take me back to the base, and then I could stay there and never leave it again. I mean, if I did manage to find ISA, she'd be annoyed, not happy to see me. Misumi was only here because he was trying to get laid. I was an idiot to play along with it. I should just go home. Before Shogun and Yua show up, those two could appear anywhere at any time. They'd be able to find me easily. I couldn't relax anywhere. I headed back to ISA's room. I was staggering, barely able to walk. I put my hand on the wall for support. Was Misumi back, I wondered? Slowly kept moving forward, praying that he'd manage to find Remy. Mr. Yamai was calling out for Ami again. I could hear the voices of nurses in front of me. I looked up to see two nurses walking towards me. One was young. The other one was a plump, older woman. Who's he looking for, do you think? It's an old ghost story about this hospital. There's a room nobody can find and it belongs to a patient named Ami. The room has been around for years. Put my head down and waited for the two of them to pass. I held my breath so they couldn't hear how much trouble I was having breathing. I could tell they were looking at me suspiciously, but all I could try to do was ignore them. When they were gone, I managed to walk again. Somehow I managed to make it to the nurse's station. ISA's room was in front of the nurse's station. I must have passed it. I groaned and wiped the sweat off my forehead. It still felt like somebody was watching me. I could feel a piercing sensation in my chest. My ears were ringing too. It felt awful. It seemed like I might pass out at any moment. I'd been just fine when I got here. What had happened to me? I was in so much pain, I just couldn't take it. I decided to get help from one of the nurses at the nurse's station. I noticed that as we hit kind of a turning point in the story, and there's a lot more full art CGs with Takumi in them. We've seen him more in the last couple of hours than we had for like the entire rest of the game. Like, Blank Aki. She hadn't noticed me. She had her back turned and was muttering something as she worked. There was a clipboard in her hand. She was writing something on her paper, on the paper it held. Oh, I'd met her before. It was Hazuki, the nurse.
That's right. This was the mental ward at AH Tokyo General Hospital. Of course she'd be here. I talked to her twice in just the last month. Perfect. If she saw me, she'd help me out immediately. Just then, I heard a beeping noise. It sounded important.
Hazuki put her clipboard and flipped a switch in front of her. Stopped. Evidently, someone had hit the button to call a nurse. She ran out the nurse's station. She seemed not to notice me. I was suffering so much, just a few feet from her, and she didn't even see me. I couldn't stand. The vertigo was incredible. Helplessly, I went back to the nurse's station and decided to wait for her to come back. I'm sorry, nigga, but are we not gonna talk about her eyes? I found the stool she'd been sitting on and sat down on it. Uh, uh, my head hurt so bad, it was like the earthquake a week ago. But the pain was different somehow, maybe. I wanted something to drink. I'd been out of breath for so long that even breathing hurt. I took a quick glance around me. Saw the clipboard Hazuki had been writing on. I could see what was drawn on it.
え
What? Last time I'd seen her, she'd been smiling as she'd written something on it. Thought she was taking down my temperature, the names of drugs I should be given. Oh!
え
Huh? So what was this? I couldn't understand.
これって
Isn't this the Nugent drawing? Where had I seen it? Wait. Saw this drawing online. Don't look at me. I picked up the clipboard. There were several papers there, all medical charts. I flipped through them. Second one had the same picture. I flipped to the next. Third one was the same. Fourth, fifth, sixth.
This picture. It was crucified.